So, we're at it again. The king and queen of whining and victimhood, Harry and Meghan, apparently are unhappy with the world they live in. So unhappy they've done another Netflix documentary to talk about it. So it's 3 years since they left the royal family because they wanted to protect their privacy and they wanted to be out of the limelight, and they didn't want all of the hustle, bustle, hassle, and the intrusive life that comes with being a working, paid-up member of the royal family. So they left. They left to ride off into the sunset. They left because they wanted to get on with their own lives, become independent. And since then, whilst seeking this life of privacy, seeking this life of independence, they've done interviews, podcasts, magazines, and behind-the-scenes documentaries, all talking about life as a royal and why they had to leave and why it's unfair. So, a millionaire couple complaining about how their life is unfair and that they are victims in this scenario. They are victims because they chose to leave the life that they said they didn't want to be a part of. That they are victims because they made a decision and are doing exactly what they want to do whilst making money off the very thing they said they want nothing to do. Nothing to do with. I mean, they're grifters, aren't they? They're just, if they weren't selling this, they'd be selling a Ponzi scheme or something. They'd be selling a product that gets you rich or something. I literally baffled by what's gone on. And actually, I'd love to know who's buying this shit and who's into it. And it's very, very funny. This is like when a couple gets divorced and the other one, or they're both just constantly whining about what the other person is doing. And, 5-10 years down the line, they're still referring to this person as if they're still in their lives. I mean, Harry and Meghan walked away, which they're well within their rights to do. And they gave all of these reasons, and they never had to justify that decision to anyone. And let's be honest, none of us can imagine what a life inside the royal family would be like. But they made a decision. It was actually much more respected than the media portray. Certainly in the UK, nobody cared. But that isn't enough for them. Still isn't enough for them. They are still whining about the royal family. You left. Move on. Get another grift. And yeah, it's baffling. It's absolutely baffling. I mean, to be fair, thank you for the content. I appreciate that. The opportunity to make content. The story sort of sells itself. So what are we looking at here? Seriously, like, what is their actual complaint? And what is this new story? I mean, Harry calls it history repeating itself. For the record, Princess Diana was tricked by, I think it was Martin Bashir, in a documentary. That's been proven. And that's the reason she gave up royal security. So that's the reason she was unprotected. But again, she also then went on to lead a fairly public life. And this is the thing that goes with fame. It's a double-edged sword, a vicious circle. I mean, how many cliches can I try and squeeze in to make the point? The only way you remain famous and relevant is if the paparazzi chase you around and keep putting you on the front cover of every magazine, if they keep putting you in the headlines of every news bulletin. If you don't want that, you have to pull away. You can't have the premieres, the red carpets, the news headlines, the interviews, the podcasts and magazines, and then not have troop of people follow you around because they are your income providers. They are where your source of revenue comes from. Otherwise, you would be irrelevant. And this is what separates you from social media people. Social media people put their life on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. They're not, generally speaking, they're not turning up to premieres. They tend to be influencers of some kind, some sort, and they stay within that niche. They're not part of the gossip columns. They're not part of the clickbait headlines. They probably provide a few clickbait headlines, but it's a very different world. They never had to become famous through the media. They generated their own fame. Harry is famous because he was a member of the royal family. Meghan was an actress of a program I've never really watched, never seen, and until Meghan Markle was introduced to Prince Harry and was seeing Prince Harry, I had no idea who she was or what she did. So her fame, globally at least, is because of who she married. Harry's fame globally is because of who his family is. Neither of them are self-made. Harry has a trust fund. He is literally a millionaire trust fund kid. So what is their contribution other than moaning about the circumstances of the life they left behind and how that's unfair? But nobody seems to be able to get from them, what is it you wanted? What did you want? And it seems to be they don't know either. And the reason I say that is because everybody can divorce, leave a marriage, disappear from the family and say it doesn't work for me. But then they normally move on with a goal. They have something they want to do, something they want to achieve. But Harry and Meghan are just regurgitating the same story. And it's all about victimhood. It's all about the difficulty in their life. Well, what's your purpose? What are you going to do? Are you still going to be complaining about the same thing 5 years from now? Or are you actually going to have something that you're going to promote, put forward, offer to the world? Otherwise, what are you? You're just rich kids complaining about being rich. You're complaining. You're just complaining. And it's this weird narcissistic victimhood that's come out with social media. This need to feel important. This need to blame everybody for your circumstances. Nobody in life has it that simple, has it that easy. You know, for every owner of a multi-billion company, for every CEO, there's 100-hour work week that led to that luxury, that privilege. And for every story like that, there's the person who worked 100 hours a week and never succeeded and it never happened. It's called fucking life. And sometimes it shits on you from a great height. Sometimes it carries you along on the wave. We're all equal in that. Unless you're Harry and Meghan. And then, I mean, I'd love to know what could be achieved if we knew what they wanted. How could we appease them? Lay down, like, okay, give us this. And it all stems back to, we wanted to leave the royal family because we didn't like the institution, we didn't like the setup, and that was unfair. Everything is, our life is unfair. So now you know. If you're on minimum wage, terminally ill, unemployed, just about to be made redundant, lost everything due to COVID, your life isn't unfair as Harry and Meghan's. And if it was 3 years ago since this all started, I wonder what story they'll be peddling 3 years from now. Take care, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.